Welcome to Marketography, the science of marketing sinkholes and how to avoid them. I am Sir Anthony, your host and guide to the ever-changing and sometimes treacherous landscape of marketing. What is a marketing sinkhole? A sinkhole is a geological formation, one that provides a metaphor for what happens over time in marketing. Sinkholes form as a result of the slow erosion of subterranean rocks. They occur because groundwater, which is slightly acidic, percolates through the rock, gradually dissolving it. Hairline fractures grow to become underground streams, which tunnel out caves. The caves enlarge until at long last, the ground above them gives way. In the same way, a sinkhole in business is a technique that initially helps companies create new profitable sales, but then, over time, the technique becomes less and less effective until eventually it ceases to work. Yet, through habit and general inertia, executives continue to use it until it ends up wasting money. Geological sinkholes are dangerous because they form in landscapes that look solid. They collapse unexpectedly, and when they do, they can cause serious damage and occasionally kill people. Similarly, when a marketing sinkhole collapses, it can surprise everyone, ruining companies and wrecking careers. Marketing sinkholes happen through a natural process. At the start, managers pioneer techniques to generate profitable sales. The techniques might involve a new strategy, a new creative trick, or a new mode of communication. Because they prove effective, companies invest in them. Seeing the results, other companies invest in them also. The infrastructure supporting the techniques grows. Journalists write articles about them. Business schools teach the methods. Doctoral students write dissertations analyzing, quantifying, and generalizing how the techniques work. Over time, a network of suppliers and advisors develop to help companies implement the techniques. But products, markets, and customers change. Rock-solid techniques that work reliably at the start become less and less effective until they fail. One huge and deepening sinkhole is broadcast advertising. In the 1950s and 1960s, TV advertising was remarkably effective at selling packaged goods products. At that time, if you created a clear advertisement and broadcast it on network TV, as long as the product was half decent, it would fly off the shelves. Over the following decades, the importance of advertising grew, and along with it, the whole discipline of marketing. Techniques that increased the effectiveness of the advertising were developed, including strategic analysis, market research, demographics, psychographics, segmentation, and techniques for evaluating the messages. In the 1950s, consumers were excited by the new technology in their living rooms, and they bought the products they saw advertised with enthusiasm. Advertisers found that by showing the advertisements repeatedly, sales would increase. Consequently, the amount they spent on advertising grew and grew. However, the ground that was supporting the entire edifice of marketing was slowly eroding away. Viewers began to find commercials annoying. In the 1970s, the remote that at first allowed viewers to switch between channels became a method to avoid commercials, particularly those that were tedious. A string of new technologies came along that enabled consumers to avoid watching the advertising. First were videocassettes. Then came cable and pay-per-view. Then video games. Then the internet, email, and MSN. And more recently, TiVo and digital video recorders. It is well known that broadcast advertising does not deliver the results it used to. But less well known is that the most basic assumptions that marketers depended on were also being undermined. Now marketing executives have to face the disturbing reality that basic marketing assumptions are unreliable. For instance, is it reasonable to believe that one can sell to large groups of people, to markets, and treat them as though the individuals all behave in the same ways? Is it reasonable to base decisions about marketing communications on strategies that are massive generalizations? And what about the messages themselves? Is it desirable to aspire to be creative rather than, say, interesting and informative? These questions are difficult to answer, even for the experts. Why? Because all of us, including the experts, have grown up surrounded by the same familiar and apparently solid landscape. So it is difficult to see how our most basic assumptions have been eroded away by the changing situation. Indeed, the entire concept of advertising needs to be questioned. Advertising, in many cases, is not the best way to persuade prospects of the merits of a product. With so many uncertainties, business leaders are left with the problem of how best to build their business. What techniques can be depended on to give a good return on investment? Currently, one of the most widely touted techniques is quantification. Marketers have to be able to demonstrate quick results and an immediate payback. As a consequence, web analytics and the buying of Google AdWords have become increasingly popular. These techniques can be dramatically productive, but even here, we are not immune from the formation of sinkholes. The reason is that everyone is adopting the same techniques, and the customer is being overwhelmed by an increasing number of choices. The new techniques get results at the start, but eventually they become less effective. So while the measurement of results can help refine marketing techniques in the short run, an excessive focus on measurement can be counterproductive because over the long term, it discourages innovation. So, if you are a business leader, what techniques can you rely on? Well, there are 4 points to keep in mind. First, always start by understanding the changing situation of the audience. Ask how you can serve them better. See the situation from their standpoint. When you see clutter building up along the highway, take a new turning. Secondly, in this busy world, clarity and simplicity win out over complexity. Elegance beats clumsiness. That's the reason 40 million people love to load their iPods with music, and millions more long ago gave up trying to record programs on video cassette. Thirdly, look down the road and understand the effect of technology and where it's leading. Yesterday, it was TVs. Today, it's computers and the internet. Tomorrow, it will probably be smart, multifunctioned video phones. Fourthly, understand how the ever-changing landscape of human culture affects the way people think about their situation. Commerce is part of culture and the unfolding drama of human society. Marketing messages are part of our culture, and to stay relevant, they can feed off entertainment, art, and politics. These 4 points help us recognize that the situation is changing. The rock underneath us is dissolving, perhaps slowly, perhaps fast. Pick a new route. Don't wait until the road collapses. Taking a new, unfamiliar turning always takes courage, but it is the only way to avoid crashing into a sinkhole. I am Sir Anthony, wishing you a pleasant and safe trip. Thank you and goodbye.